Hello Tubesters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. I keep seeing I swear this chair is getting lower. Could be getting slightly heavier. Where are those pies? Anyway, update on the Panther 1:72 scale from Vespid models. It wouldn't be a Gav build if the poo didn't well and truly hit that fan over there that I've just had to turn off, forgetting as I started the last video. Sorry about the darkness. It's actually bright blue skies outside, but it's also 37 degrees and the heat is whoop, whoop against the curtains. So I wanted to do this update before we get anywhere else. I've had some problems. I mean, Steve Jones suggested the tracks weren't the strongest. Steve doesn't get all those gold medals hanging around his neck for nothing, you know. I've had some problems with the tracks. I always do. Or, you know, probably about 8 out of 10 builds when I do tracks, which is mostly, isn't it? I did get them to conform around the idler wheel and the other wheel. As Joe and Greg had suggested, that's Greg from Greg's Models, as opposed to Greg Riley. They suggested using the PVA glue, and that worked. So all that bit worked, but when I came to offer them around the tracks, because they're not. See, the problem is I don't like to criticise because I'm just not very good at modelling, and what I find difficult, most of the guys out there just do it in their sleep. But when I came to put them back around, being really gentle, they still broke off at quite a few of the unions, and I broke off one of the suspension units, one of the end wheels, we'll call them for now. I can't believe I've been reading my Panther book again last night. Anyway, Gav digresses as usual. So when you have a look at it in a minute, I very rarely get tracks to conform well. They just don't look natural, you know what I mean, when you look at a tank. Never been able to do it right yet on 1 in 35 or this. It'd be interesting with I'm looking there because she's under the dust sheet, but it'll be interesting when I finally get to putting the tracks around that 1 in 35 scale Badger, because they are nice enough. You wouldn't want to, they're not overly strong, but I presume they'll go round okay. It's been a real shame. Normally at that point, obviously I've got mental health problems, I'll just lose interest because I try and it's not laziness, and it's, you know, I can't be bothered. I just want things, it's not even so much going well. If I can dig myself out the hole, not a problem. But when things go like that, I quite often switch off, as we all know, which is why Gav's got so many unfinished builds. But with this one, I've been enjoying it so much, and I've been doing the figures and stuff, although there's been a few hiccups with those as well. I thought, nah, sod this, I'm going to see, good British saying that, as in stuff it, you know, let's just push on. I thought, no, we'll work our way around it. So the side skirts, which I'd already pre-cut up, they've had to be allocated on the one side anyway to cover up where there's hardly a join at all. There's a gap between the tracks. That means that anyway, let's go down to the bench and take a look, because I'm telling you all this and why when you can see it on the tank. So let's go to the bench, guys. Right, guys, we'll start with all the tales of woe. As I say, this isn't a case of Gav just, you know, bumping his gums, bitching again, there's something's gone wrong. I am seeing this through to the end, and I'm going to make it look as good as I can make it look. So at the moment my head isn't particularly dented, apart from all the usual stuff, but it was a shame. Right, so I was gonna get I prefer lacquer paint. I seem to at least be able to work with lacquer paint better than I can with the acrylic that I've got thousands and thousands of bottles of, because obviously I'm a figure painter. I can spray on a general basis, just like one coat, I can spray that okay. And that's your previous video, you saw me do that, and that was fine. But when it comes to the camouflage, it just went all out the window. I tried to use the masking putty, and I was finding I was getting so much masking putty everywhere. I was just, it was just a sea of masking putty, and I was just losing any, not will, but I just couldn't work out where the hell I was supposed to be spraying. And in the end, I took it all off. I thought, well, you know, all these people, they freehand. Yes, it's not going to be perfect, Gav. Get that in your head straight away. But you know, I've tried to freehand a couple of times with the airbrush, and I try and do what people say. I get close in and you know, turn the air pressure down and that. And I thought it was all going to go pear-shaped, and it did. And what happened was the different, I couldn't obviously get any proper contours with the airbrush. It was just flatting out as a broad, you know, if you wanted one, and they did have them, as we all know, you know, if I wanted broad strokes, if in a way, bands, if that's a better word, I could have got that. But I was having a lot with this brown one. This is the Mig Paint, and it's very almost translucent, as you can see. I've been having, and that's with an oil. I knew I'd forget the damn word. Tint on it. No, it's gone. Oh, you don't want head problems, guys, I tell you, because nothing gets retained. But anyway, so my green was just no contours in it whatsoever, you know, all the little squiggles. When the brown went on, it just spattered everywhere, and I had to repaint. So all that nice tonal work I did just got completely covered over, because I had to use a khaki to cover this dark brown. So it all got khakied over. And then I attempted to paint by hand. Well, you've either got to do 101 applications. I've tried that stuff before on that King Tiger, and I didn't like it, but I just, says the guy who's just gone out and bought a 1 in 35 scale Meng Jeep because he saw it on cheap. But still, I didn't want to pay to get more lacquer painting until I've got some commission money in. I've painted that by hand. I've put a filter, that's the word I'm after. Oh, you have to concentrate sometimes. I've got my Adam Wilder book out, and I put a filter on which has darkened it down again because I wanted a cold look. And I put a brown filter on the top of the brown to try and just, it still hasn't worked particularly well. And a green one, because the green is so pale, as you can see on that front piece, it really is pale. And I can never work out I mean, I understand on the printing process on colour call outs, you know, they will show them a lot darker and that, and I always find this, when I used it before, I wasn't particularly happy with it. I thought it was way too pale. I know people have said with these you then have to put lots of filters and different bits on to, that's how these MIG products work, but I think I really will just keep sticking to lacquers when it comes to this type of stuff, because I can more or less get what I want with that. So that's patchy, but I think I can save all that because I'm going to be putting lots of weathering on, streaks on, mud on. It's going to be a very muddy tank. We're trying to save save the build here, guys. I know that's people's first thing is put mud on, but this is the Ardennes. It was really muddy, and this one's going to be this one's going to be no exception. Lack of sleep, guys, and that head goes all over the place. Can't even speak. Right, stop making a fool of yourself, Gav. Right, so what else have we done? We'll go to the tracks next. The guys, as I said, put PVA on, and that really worked, so thanks guys for that tip. But when I came to re-put the tracks around, they all fell apart, so they didn't sit where they originally sat. I've got, let's make sure, I only just decaled it today and I haven't put any varnish over the top yet. So you can see that's nowhere near the track itself. Can we get in closer, Gav? I'm just going to have to mud and muck that up. The back, this is the better looking of the back end. It still doesn't look obviously great. It is what it is. Well, I'll go around the other side first. Let's show it warts and all. Well, this side's, as you can see, is almost square at the back. Oh, you can't see, can you? There again, Sorry, without the lighting in here, it's pretty naff today, isn't it? Okay, Gav's just put the curtains back. To hell with it. Let's roast, if we're not already. So as you can see, really bad on the back. It's square almost. There's a gap under here. Because it doesn't fit well, it means the blooming Schutzen screens, the side screens, they're not sitting like flush down. All I can say there is she's lost the ones at the front. There's always an excuse in Gav's builds, and it's just pulled these others up. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. I mean, nice little battle damage unfortunately won't be seen because that's going to be on this side of the little dio. Tracks on both sides. I've done a bit of work just with the acrylics, made them a bit rusty, and I'll put a bit more dust on those afterwards, although it's going to be a wet build obviously with the mud. Decals are really thin and they go down. I know, I don't know if it was, I put like the first stage decal solution down, and then the damn things didn't want to peel off without almost tearing. So be very, very careful. I don't even think they need any decal solution. And I put a small dab of varnish on last night, gloss varnish for them to sit on top of. But trying to get them back up, that one sat really nicely and it came down on its first time. This guy, and it's actually ruckled a bit there. I might have to get some decal solution, the second set on that, and try and get it to sit down better. But that number one, because I put it on skew, off centre, trying to get it back, it was very, very delicate, so just be aware of that. I think that's about it. As I say, it's nice, see the blooming tracks are out there on the back. This is where I switch off, you see, because I just look at it and think, well, why am I wasting my time on something that I can't make look any better than than the mess it is? But I intend to. We are pushing through. I'm sick and tired of not having completed builds at the moment. So I put a bit of the primer on there and some on there as if where they've been putting the shirts on and off. It's chopped up the paintwork a bit. Obviously it's all got to be weathered, streaked, chipped and everything yet. There's got to be let's get back a bit, Gav. There's got to be a matte coat, or sorry, a semi-gloss coat go over the top. Satin would be the word I was after. And I'm going to put some oils on again to define, put some washes to define some of the edges and whatever. And then obviously another coat of varnish over the top. But there'll be lots of chips and streaks and stuff. So because obviously even I'd done all the tank and then completely forgot that I hadn't painted, I hadn't even primed or anything the side skirts. So that's why the side skirts are brighter, because they hadn't been completed, so they're a bit brighter. But we'll get round that. We'll dirty them up. So yeah, I've got a plan. Whether I probably will stick with it more than ever now, because I need to hide bits and pieces. But I was going to put some foliage on this front section here and on the side a bit. What I will say as well is there's very little decals on all these. Whether they've done them on purpose, I don't know. So this is Das Reich, 2nd SS Panzer. It was I think they were working alongside 12th SS Panzer. Now, the only thing that you get with nearly all of them are the two Balkan crews, or the crosses, German identification crosses. They're supposed to sit right where the winching gear is, and they'll never be seen. I mean, they were put where it's supposed to, because I believe I've put it where I was supposed to anyway. So I've just left those off because there's no point. I'll never get them in there. It's not unusual. There's, they do normally have some type of turret numbers, which this guy's got, but they don't always have any, divisional identification or anything sometimes. So I'm not overly fussed on that. I think that's about it for that. Now, what I'd planned to, this was a piece of, and I've chiselled out the base of this a bit because I wanted it. because of the bad track, as you can see there, I think, well, if I sit that back like she's sitting a bit in, although it's going to be on a road surface, it's not a metalled road. I don't think it's a metal road, or it's a metal road that's got a lot of mud over it from constant, you know, the tanks and trucks and everything of both sides going backwards and forwards. So yeah, that'll sit down in there somehow and hopefully disguise that a bit. I've got obviously clay for stuff, and I'll fill then in where she's sitting rising up at the top. All that'll be muddied up. This isn't going to be a snow base. Obviously there was snow in the Ardennes, but a lot of the earlier when the start of the offensive was, a lot of it was more mist and murk, and there would have been maybe bits of sleet and snow on the higher points, but there wasn't snow all over. And this isn't going to be a snow base. It's just going to be mainly as well because all the guys I've got, none of them are in like parkas or, you know, like quilted jackets or anything. They're in more like summer stroke autumn gear. So, you know, I've gone with that. So there'll be a bit of foliage on the front of the tank. I've just got all my, I was going through all my scrap foam. I always keep it because it's blooming expensive. And right, just bear with me. So hopefully this will be something. Oh, that ain't going to work, is it, without me moving and adjusting now? Right, so we've got our rough house shape there. I've got no idea what I'm doing. It's ever. So what we're looking at here is a rough house, very rough. I'm going to cut this section out because it's just going to be a facade. It's just going to be frontage. It's just to give some backdrop to the tank. So we'll have our roof, but instead of obviously just being flat, I'll cut that out and sit it back onto some blue foam here. I think that's the idea anyway. We're going to have a bit of a workshop type building just stuck at the side with some workshop doors, and then just basic, because a lot of the tanks were pulled up really close to the houses sometimes. I think it's obviously try and protect the tank from as many sides as they could from any infantry, handheld weapons and bazookas and stuff, and also to, you know, help with aerial reconnaissance, just try and keep them merged in as much as they could. So yeah, so I'm having a sat there, so that's going to be roughly the backdrop, and there'll be obviously my foot figures will be on the floor and the tank riders and stuff on a more or less muddy base. I might put a bit of, I don't think I will, I think I might just, I don't know yet, might just fill that corner up slightly and maybe put a fence or something if there's a, but then again the tank would have, oh I don't know, we'll sort something out. As confused.com as ever. Right, let's just move that to one side and we'll have a quick look at the figures. Are literally have been as and when I've got a bit of paint. I had a bit of a disaster with my black, which I'll go into in a second. So these are the CP models, I think, figures. I still haven't put his sling over his shoulder yet for the MG42. But as you can see, if you're into the period, you'll know these are really based on Hitler Jungland, Hitler Youth 12th SS Panzer in Normandy, and these more or less all in one jumpsuit type efforts they're wearing were Italian camo that they've made into these. So I don't know in the Ardennes if the rank and file was still wearing Italian camo. I'm not 100% sure if it wasn't really or mainly put onto the, well, I think the Waffen-SS used it a lot, but I'm not sure if other than the 12th SS, if they actually, all the rank and file were dressed in it as well. So this probably isn't correct, but as the way I see it, nearly everything I've done isn't been correct. So I'm putting them in Italian camo because to make these look into Waffen-SS, the normal type of stuff like the helmet covers are, I think it would look wrong. So I'm going to do these in the Italian camo, and it is what it is. I'll enjoy doing it, and you know, most of the guys, if you're not into the period, you won't know. but I'm sure there'll be a hell of a lot of people out there and he's an Italian camo and they shouldn't have been wearing it and blah blah. Right, this is the Carousel Method. You can see the very shiny tank commander in the middle there. I opened a new bottle of paint. I couldn't have shook it enough, and so I got a lot of the stuff that obviously keeps it hydrated, and it just turned into one great big shiny gloop. Unfortunately, before I'd done him, I'd actually painted. I haven't gotten halfway around it yet, as you can see, but I've been doing some of the webbing in black leather. I'd actually used NATO flat black, but it's so flat for this scale. It was struggling picking out details. It was looking too, so I went to jet black or normal black, not knowing I'd made it shiny. But that stood out better because I'm going to put in highlights and that. The boots, they haven't had any highlights done to them yet, but they're done in rubber black, which is one of my favourite colours for that, and it's a lot better. I could have done that to the webbing, but I just wanted a bit of difference. I've put black slings on them, but they're going to be browned off when I get round to it. It's just as a base colour. I've done darker, different bases for the jackets, so the greeny grey. A lot of them weren't the grey that you see in films. A lot of them were this like greeny, different stages of it, greeny grey. I've done a bit of a cuff title on this guy. Done a few of the Waffen-SS well-known rank and Waffen-SS insignia with the lightning runes. You'd only be wearing them runes though if you were Reichsdeutsch, if you were recruited, if you were from Germany itself, not one of the Volksdeutsch, Volksdeutsch, yeah. The Germans that were recruited, that are emigre Germans, in Romania and other places. They would wear a different division. If they were recruited into their own Waffen-SS divisions, like the Estonians and Latvians and Lithuanians, they wouldn't wear the lightning bolts. They'd wear their own divisional, because they weren't, I suppose, considered Germanic. But yeah, so I've given the different bases of those to get slightly different colours. It's a bit hard under the camera and on this carousel effect, but hopefully you may see it when they're all on the tank. So yeah, we'll complete stuff up with the tank commander, but we'll get back to him. I'm giving him P-dot trousers. You won't see them really, but they're there. I've given the radio operator, bow machine gunner, I've given him P-dot. We've got the autumn cam here on some. Unlike the summery type cam on the others, the more standard dots. And that's it really. I think that's all I've got to show you. Yeah, I think that covers everything. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. I just wanted to run all the trials and tribulations by you. It wouldn't be one of my builds if there wasn't. The tank will look a fair bit different, I reckon, over the next few days with different, the different applications. I'm hoping the heat isn't going to be bad enough that when I spray the varnish, it comes out like powder. But I just think, I'm not one of these guys. I do believe in climate change and all the rest of it. But I also believe they're trying to get us flapping to obviously push their own agendas as well. And the heat's here, it's here. You just got to get on with it, live with it, whatever. So I, for one, I'm not stopping spraying and bits and pieces, doing that type of stuff, whether it's coming out like blooming powder or not, because we'll never get anything done. It's, at the moment in the UK we've got a heat wave at least for another 3 or 4 days, and I don't see why I should stop doing my stuff because Mr. Soleil decides that he's going to burn my eyeballs out. So guys, look after yourselves. Many thanks for stopping by and taking a look. We'll see what that look. If the building doesn't look right, then you just know it's going to be a muddy crossroads with a bunch of trees on. But let's Let's go for the building, eh? He who dares wins. So look after yourselves. Many thanks for your kind support. It really does mean a lot. I know all us YouTubers say it, but as I say, it does for me. It's you know, with me head problems and all the rest of it, it really does pick you up. You know, when you know that you guys are out there and you're pushing me along and helping me along, type of thing. So thank you very much for all that, and it's really appreciated. So look after yourselves. Try and keep cool where possible. If not, stuff the sun, model on, paint on, game on, and let's just get on with it. Look after yourselves.